Welcome to Life in Business, the podcast for business owners who want the confidence to grow without having to hustle 24/7. I'm Libby Langley, your host, award-winning no BS business coach and Amazon best-selling author. Join me each week to learn simple and practical strategies for growing your business, growing your profits, growing your confidence, and for having fun in business too. Here's this week's episode. Hello, welcome to another episode of Life in Business with me, Libby Langley, your podcast host. I hope you are very, very well today. And just wanted to say to you, you are enough. You are just the perfect amount of everything, okay? The reason that I wanted to talk to you about that today is, I don't know, I just think there's kind of a lot going round that you need to be bigger, shinier, fancier, more louder, quieter, I don't know, whichever. You just need to be more of everything. And it's quite hard sometimes to feel adequate, let alone shiny, when there's this sort of pressure about. And really, it comes from social media, right? For sure. Because the social media people just tell you all the things that you should be and how to improve everything. And it's impossible not to scroll on social media without that little thought of, oh, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should, just from, I don't know, making a reel to what car you drive, what house you live in, the way that you run your business, how many clients you want, your goals and everything, you know. And it's a world, I think we live in a world where enough is not enough, right? I honestly can't remember where I saw it, but somebody said something about embracing being average. And it kind of made me laugh because, do you know, that's all right, isn't it? Because if you think about average, you know, being in the middle, that's not a bad place to be, actually, in the middle of everything. Because if you're absolutely at the top, you know, if you're the Oprah Winfrey, that's a whole lot of pressure, right? It's a whole different kind of business, life, everything. Sure, money, hello, but also the fame and the trappings of that. You know, that's kind of quite hard. And then obviously, if you're right at the bottom, I mean, that's horrendous, and none of us want to. None of us want to be down there. So, you know, embracing averageness is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it comes across as a really negative thing and as if you've got no ambition or anything. But that's just not true. It's about knowing where you're comfortable and maybe just stepping slightly outside that parameter. It's funny, we were talking in one of the group coaching programs in my Confidence to Grow program, and about goals and things. And we were talking about being driven. And I said to my clients, are you driven? Because I said, I don't class myself as particularly driven. And it's quite funny saying that out loud, really, because I think I used to be. Now, definitely when I first started my business, there was somebody who was quite influential on me, ended in a very negative way, but who I thought, wow, you know, their business is good. And they suggested I did something. So I did something. And, you know, I was quite kind of influenced by this person. And they said to me, one of the biggest compliments that I kind of think I've ever had in my business, thought I'd had, sorry, let's make that past tense, in my business, was, I've never known anyone more focused and driven than you. And I was like, wow. And I think when I first started the business, for sure, that was true, right? In that I hustled the ass off everything, right? I worked really long hours. I grew my business very quickly. I got my team. I had my office. I was everywhere, right? I was on every stage that was available. And yeah, just really like super famous in my own little world right from the start. You know, going to the conferences in the States when I'd only been in business for just over a year and kind of doing all this stuff. And I was really, really driven and focused, but I didn't know what I was driving towards, if that makes sense. I was just pushing for whatever whatever happened, I didn't have a particular focus, not even a financial focus particularly. It was just bigger and better was the focus. And if you're a regular listener to this podcast, that you'll know that, that didn't end well. So I did that for 4 years or something, and then, realised that it wasn't for me, and I was knackered, probably burnt out as I look back now. So I stopped it all and changed. And so to say that I don't think I'm driven is a weird thing, because I have really clear goals, really clear boundaries. I know exactly what I want, and I know that everything I do, everything, that's a lie, isn't it? But most constructive things I do every day are taking me towards the life that me and my husband want. However, the life that we have right now is also kind of what I want, right? There's things I want to change, the house we live in and a few bits and bobs and all that. But actually the where we are now is great. So to be driven, to me, is where you are is not where you want to be. And it's okay, to be happy, to be delighted with where you are. You see what I mean? It's like we don't always have to move forward. We do have to keep moving, evolving and all of this stuff, but we don't always have to keep driving forwards, pushing forwards, because sometimes continuing as is all right. And that's what I mean by you are enough. Because if what you've got is what you are happy and comfortable with, then maintaining that and tweaking it and refining it is absolutely as good and as perfect an objective in life as, doubling your income and buying a Lamborghini and whatever it is that you kind of sometimes feel that you need to do. Being thinner, being younger, being whatever the hell it is, all the things that we have to conform to and have to do, yeah? So it's quite an interesting reflection. That's what I'm hoping to give you today, is a reflection on where you are now and where you want to be and how far apart they actually are, because it might not be that they are that dissimilar. Certainly, I would say for me in my life, I absolutely love doing this podcast, right? Love it, love it, love it. And when I meet people in the wild and they say, oh yeah, I listen to your podcast, and I'm like, do you? And I get kind of like, that's so funny. But I know people listen to it. I see the stats and I get the messages from you guys. But it's always kind of quite funny to, I find it quite funny to sort of know that people listen to me, even though I know people listen to me, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I absolutely love doing this podcast. I've got no intentions of stopping doing this podcast. I've got my book, my book's out, been out for not far off 2 years now, actually. Life in Business, available on Amazon if you don't have it. So, I've done that. I've got the podcast, which is an ongoing thing. I've got my fantastic program, Confidence to Grow, which I adore. I love the clients in there. I welcome a very small number, 3 each month, into that. So it's manageable for me and great for the group. And I like where I live, apart from the house, but I like the area I live in. I love my husband. My cat is still alive at 19 and a half. And that's kind of, that's okay. That's okay to be happy with your lot, I think. And it's not to say I don't have plans for the future, but it's, just knowing that you're all right and things are just going to kind of move forward to where you want to be. And the difference is really that I've worked really quite hard to be okay with myself, right? So none of this is being said to you in some kind of BS toxic positivity kind of thing, right? This is to help you perhaps see things in a slightly different way and to give you reassurance about the path that you're on. So comparisonitis is the death of business owners, right? Scrolling on Instagram is just horrible sometimes. Even other businesses that you love and you support, and they say something and you can be like, well, I haven't thought that. I'm not doing that. And it's just like, oh my God, just do what you want to do. Stay in the lane that you're happy in, and that is fine. Carve your own path out of here, right? And a lot of that comparisonitis can lead to wobbles, or the wobbles can be because what we're doing isn't quite right for us. It doesn't kind of sit right, doesn't sit exactly right with us, right? And over the last certainly 3, possibly 4 years, I've worked really, really hard on making sure that this is right. This inner confidence, I talk about it a lot really with my Confidence to Grow people. It's this kind of quiet inner confidence that you know that you're good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with myself. I'm good with where I'm going. It's all going to happen. I'm pretty chill about stuff. Does not mean that you don't need to work, unfortunately. Right? You still need to work, and you still need to put effort in, and you still need to take action. But it's this inner feeling that makes the difference, right? And knowing that, do you know what? I'm all right. That's what makes the difference. And I find it quite interesting. I think perhaps the biggest journey that I've been on with this is that I don't match what a typical successful entrepreneur is, right? So when I first started, I was, 13 years younger for a start, and it was all shiny and exciting in this new world of entrepreneurship. And oh my God, there's people doing this. And wow, it was just, I was like, a kid in a sweet shop. It was just absolutely insane. Insanely exciting, wow, blew my mind completely. But what's happened over the years is as I've got to know myself better, and I got divorced in that time, and I was on my own for 3 years, the miserable years, and married to someone else now who's, super fantastic and supportive and all of that. But going through all of that and learning a lot of the stuff about me is that actually I don't fit this typical entrepreneur mode, I don't think, because I'm low energy. I am not a high energy person. I can turn it on, and I can get ridiculously excited about some things and enthusiastic, but then I can't sustain that, right? So I'm a low energy person. I'm an introvert. I'm happiest, really, honestly, when I'm at home on my own. I really like that, or just at home with my husband watching telly. I'm really happy with that. And I'm autistic ADHD, right? So those aren't necessarily, if you pulled out of a hat like the best characteristics, most popular characteristics of an entrepreneur, if you pulled those out, I doubt they'd be your top 3, right? But all this to say, that doesn't matter. I'm not going to change any of those things. I certainly can't change the fact that I'm autistic ADHD, right? I can't change the fact that I'm introverted. I can make myself join in with a bit more stuff, which I do. And the low energy, I just can't change it. It's just, I suppose those 3 things actually are all absolutely combined, aren't they? Right? They're all part of the same thing. But knowing that that's how you are and being just totally cool with that, that's how you know and how you really genuinely think, do you know what? I'm all right. I'm enough. Yeah, I'm good. We're all good here. Everybody's fine. Thank you. We'll come by. That place is a really nice place to be. And it's really about self-acceptance. Because saying you're enough is like, it does sound a bit like, yeah, do you know what? I'm enough. Meaning you're just enough. You could be more, but it's not that. It's like you're complete and you're fine. And that's really what it is. And knowing that you complete yourself, I suppose would be a way of saying it, allows you to then shape and grow the business that you can actually shape and grow. Yeah. Because when I first started, it was started in business in 2011, build a team, get a million clients. And it's like, I can't, I'm tired. I can't do it. And you find yourself running on adrenaline, and then you find yourself burning out, and you wonder why the money might be coming in, but you're not happy. And it does take a really kind of good hard look at stuff to work out what's not right. And often it's that you're simply just trying to do something that doesn't suit you. And that's not a good or bad thing, right? It's no judgment. It's just, I couldn't have a career or a business that was entirely based, I couldn't be a keynote speaker every day of the week. I couldn't do it because the traveling would be tiring. The being on stage is exhausting. It's great, and I do keynote talks, but I wouldn't do more than like one a month because it's really draining. And like I said, the traveling is tiring. You have to factor all these things in. And just knowing that and just accepting that about yourself is massive, right? Because then if you see someone saying, how to build a career as a keynote speaker, it's like, oh no, actually, I don't want to do that because I'm going to be exhausted and I'm going to spend all the time I'm not on stage sleeping. And that's not how I want my life to be. So do you see how just knowing and acknowledging yourself leads to this kind of, do you know what? I'm all right feeling. And it's great. It's great. It's really something that you can just lean into. And I think it's great as a point of difference as well. Because if everybody is trying to be shiny, exciting, new, bouncy, bubbly, and all this, everybody becomes the same. It becomes a bit of a Barbie world, right? And if you are like that, then that is great because you'll still carve out your own niche. But what I'm talking about is, people who sometimes think that they're not enough and they need to be more or do more or shout louder or whatever. You don't, because there is a whole subsection of society who's not drawn to that, right? Who isn't drawn to that at all. And it's funny because I can see really clearly the errors I have made. And I think it's by my own, errors. Oh gosh, that's negative self-talk. Perhaps misjudgments that I've made over the years that help me to be a better business coach and help me to better support my clients. And, just anybody who just messages me asking for advice on something. It's like, well, okay, yep, you can do that, but have you thought about this instead? And I don't think any of us would be where we are without the things we've been through. Not to say that you need to have been through something dreadful to shape you, but everything that happens adds to like a memory bank. That's what I mean, really. Small things, conversations, anything that's kind of happened. But certainly I know that I've worked with people. I've taken on coaches, for example. I've worked with people who are just on a way different energy scale to me. Energy is like a massive one for me. And I don't talk about necessarily being energetically aligned. I mean about literally the amount of energy that you have and you don't have. And I've worked with a couple of coaches who have been really, really high energy. And some of the stuff they've said has been fantastic, right? And has been useful for me to perhaps see how maybe I can just push myself just a little bit more in certain situations. But overall, it's like, okay, I cannot do what you do because I will die. And I think just knowing yourself enough to know who aligns with you and who doesn't, you can admire and respect people for sure, and enjoy consuming their content. And if they run events, maybe go to their events, all this kind of stuff. But trying to emulate them, which we do, we have people that we listen to, and we value their advice. They're got to be on the same wavelength, or you've got to be really good at thinking, right, that's how they do it. Sound advice. How can I transpose that to how I live my life, for example, So it's quite kind of interesting. And family's another one as well. What do your family think? Oh my God, I could do 50 podcasts on this, but I'm not going down that rabbit hole. But, when you think, oh, I'm not enough, there's a lot of the kind of Instagram pressure and the business world pressure, but there's family pressure too, right? About what your siblings have achieved, or expectations that your parents may have put on you. And to not conform to that can be really tough and can kind of give this nagging sense of being a perpetual disappointment. Just me? No, I don't think so. The autobiographical episode. So it doesn't, your life is your life, right? And doing it your way, whether it's, You choose what car you choose to drive, what house you choose to live in, whether you have kids or not, whether you've got a dog or a cat, or, whether you go out or don't go out, what kind of business you have, the kind of clients that you work with. All of it is your choice, right? All of it absolutely is your choice. And that's kind of the beauty of life and life in business, is that that's all right. Nobody can really judge you on any of it. They can have their own opinions, and their opinions might not be the same as yours, and the way they would do it might not be the same as the way you would love to do it. But just imagine, right? Just imagine if you have a business that is exactly how you want it to be. Just imagine that. I mean, that's the most powerful thing ever. It's the single best reason for having a business. So I kind of ask you, do you have a business that is exactly how you would want it to be, and it runs how you want it to? Not saying you don't have issues, right? This is about the general feeling. And I think by asking yourself that question, then that's one of the things that kind of starts to move everything forward. What do I really want? What is it that I've got that makes me happy? What doesn't make me happy? And focusing on that. What are you good at? What do you like? What do you love? What do people ask you about? What do people think that you do? Yeah. What are you always kind of called on for? Business and personal. And all of that is your foundations for moving forward. That's all enough, right? What you're good at and what you like and what you love to do, that's how you build a sustainable business. And that's how you build a business that isn't going to exhaust you, isn't going to drain you, isn't going to need to pivot again in 6 months' time, isn't going to require you to just keep throwing bloody spaghetti at the walls, hoping that something will stick, and launch some, £75 offer because people aren't buying your £3,000 offer or whatever. It's like, it's kind of not about that, right? It's about finding yourself and knowing that how you want to do it is right. Because of course it is. Yeah. Doesn't matter if there's no copy and paste template that you can buy for $27 on how you want to do it, because everything starts with somebody having had an idea that nobody else has had before. Yeah. So just do what you want to do, and set the goals that really genuinely are the goals that you want. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is financial, really, but I think that people saying, do you know what, I'd like to pay off my mortgage, and then that's, that'd be great. And it's like, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, my mortgage is massive, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not like that big a thing. But it's a life-changing thing, and having something as really as simple as that is brilliant. Yeah, because the knock-on effect of that changes everything kind of in life, right? In the way that you live your life. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have these massively big, scary, kind of audacious goals if you don't want to. That small is brilliant. Average is great. Yeah. And I quite like that, the liberation that brings of, I'm all right. I'm me. I'm all right. Bit weird sometimes, but that's okay. And I'm just gonna bumble along in the way that I want to bumble along. And by bumble along, I mean being strategic and having really clear goals and action points. But not everything has to be a push. Not everything has to be a hustle. Not everything has to be more. Slow and gentle is okay. And just doing what you want to do is perfectly okay. And the final thing that I want to say to you that I haven't mentioned here is happiness. Happiness ultimately is just the absolute goal in life, right? And what makes you happy won't be the same as makes me happy, won't be the same as makes someone else happy. And so a good starting point for you kind of thinking on your, I am enough journey is what makes you happy, and doing more of that, capitalizing more on that. Yeah. Because happiness, it can't be measured by, your Lamborghini or your Rolex. I mean, I think driving a Lamborghini would probably make me extremely happy, but not like inner happiness in the grand scheme of life. And it's that quiet confidence, that inner confidence, that just absolute belief in yourself that you're doing the right thing, you're helping the right people, and you know where your life is going. That's true, beautiful, beautiful happiness. And that is what is worth chasing. Not arbitrary 10K months, not getting up at 5 a.m. unless you really desperately want to. None of this stuff that you're told is going to make you a better person, is told you're going to make you more money. Doesn't matter. None of it matters unless it absolutely aligns with what makes you happy. The first thing to do, though, is work out, write down what does make you happy, and know that you are absolutely the center of that, and you are absolutely enough. You're a beautiful human, and I'm glad that we're in each other's worlds. So thank you very much for being here today. Be interested in what this has brought up for you, actually. There's probably a few things that you're like, hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, maybe that's holding me back. So do message me. I know I say this most weeks, but I really do like getting messages and having the little chats that we have about what's come up for you in the podcast. So if there is anything, my DMs are always open. So I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Lots of love. Go be happy. And you are enough. You're super duper. See you next week. Thank you for listening to Life in Business. Please make sure that you subscribe or follow so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's show, please leave a review, as it helps others to find the podcast and spread the word that there's an easier way to do business. If you want to chat with me about today's episode or suggest a topic for the future, I would love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram @Libby Langley. See you next week.